Hey everybody, welcome back to Nicky T Live. I'm your host Nick Taylor. Happy New Year to pretty much everybody I haven't seen in a while, and Happy New Year to you too, Anthony. How you doing, man?
Ooh, doing good. How are you? How was your New Year?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Took it pretty easy. Did some snowshoeing up at my parents' cottage, and then went to a house party for New Year's. Nothing super crazy, but dancing till like 2 in the morning or something. But it was a lot of fun. It's like friend's house really close, so it's like literally just walk home after. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah, right on, right on. Yeah, I hung out with for most of the holidays, my wife's brother's wife's family.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool, nice. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Now, for folks like we've been on a bunch of times together before, but like for folks who might not know who you are, who is Anthony, the man, the myth, the legend?
Yeah, so I am a developer advocate. I first got my start in the GraphQL JavaScript world with this framework called Redwood JS. I worked for then a GraphQL company, then a blockchain company, then a deployment company. Then I spent some time kind of building my own app called AutoShow, which we'll talk about a little bit today. And I have a new role now. This is actually, I think, the first stream I've done since it started. Um,
Okay, cool.
so it's a little confusing to explain, but I'm hired by a company called Atmosera, and they are contracting me out to another company whose name I technically cannot say, but it's a very large
Okay,
payroll company that pretty much everyone knows. And they are looking to basically up level their whole dev force with coding AI tools. So what we do
okay,
is we have a 2 week like kind of crash course that we go through with a couple teams. So there's a whole bunch of us. We're called collaborative engineers. We each have a group of teams that we work with for every 2 weeks. And we explain to them basically how to use things like Copilot, how to prompt, how to manage your context. It's
okay,
really
okay.
heavily focused on things like managing technical debt, writing docs, filling in missing tests. So it's more like code maintenance than like a lot of feature development, which kind of makes sense if you think about the company and they're looking to get a standardized way that everyone can use AI and not just
Yeah.
like totally go nuts on their code base. So yeah, it's been really fun. So I've been doing that now for close to 3 months. I think I started beginning of November. And yeah, so this slightly different from the roles I was doing. That is less kind of content focused because it's all just like you deliver the material just for people on the call. They technically get recorded, but I'm not sure how many people actually watch the recordings. So yeah,
Okay.
it feels actually most like having like an education job, which I used to have. I used to be a teacher. And so with this, I'm not creating a lot of content. I'm not doing a lot of like kind of outward facing stuff. I'm basically just doing, workshops and lectures and guided exercises and answering questions and doing office hours and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've been really
Okay. Okay.
enjoying it.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Also, hey, Taryn in the chat. Good to see you, my man. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I knew you switched it up, so yeah, I didn't really know the full breadth of what you were doing, but yeah. So yeah, so you're mentioning an auto show, and that's I'll drop a couple links to that. But um, I guess we've done a few streams with this. I guess give the TLDR of what auto show is, and or like why did you even create it initially?
Yeah. So AutoShow V1 was based around wanting to create some additional assets for my podcast. So something that most podcasts have is that they'll have like chapter titles and timestamps so you could skip to different parts. You see
Yeah,
this both in YouTube videos and also in podcast apps. So I was kind of thinking back, probably early 2024 or so. I was like, AI has gotten really good. It can, analyze large amounts of text. I also knew about Whisper, which is this open source transcription tool. And so I was like,
Yeah.
if I ran my episodes through Whisper, because it gives you, timestamps for each line, I could give that to ChatGPT or Claude and then have it come up with the chapter titles, and it could find the kind of large chunks of topics that are discussed and find, beginning and ending point. So that was kind of the very initial idea. And I built like a CLI that would automate this process of running the transcription, appending a prompt to it, giving that to the LLM, and then getting the response back.
Okay.
After I did that, though, I realized that, if I just wrote a different prompt, I could generate all sorts of stuff. I could create, summaries, blog posts, more artistic content like song lyrics or short stories, marketing
Yeah.
content, social posts, email newsletters, just all sorts of stuff. So I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. So I then started building like an app for it, because originally, like I said, it was a CLI, but I wanted it to be
Mhm.
something that, my parents could use or my wife could use. And now actually my wife is the main user of AutoShow now. She uses it for
Okay.
lots of little kind of work tasks. So then that was kind of and then I added in different transcription services and different LLM models, so you could get different trade-offs of, cost and quality and speed. And so that was kind of like AutoShow V1, which now
Mhm.
has been out for like 6 months or so. And the app itself has some issues. The parts of it were vibe coded, so some of it I was kind of like, I really want to just like rewrite this and kind of get it right from the start. And so I've been
Yeah.
working on AutoShow V2, which is the stuff we're going to see today. So AutoShow V2 is really exciting because AutoShow V1 would just output text, and it would just take in audio or video. Now it can
Okay.
take in audio, video, or PDF, or EPUBs, or PowerPoints. It can
Okay.
take in other content as well, so not just audio and video. And it doesn't just generate text; it also now generates images, music,
Oh, no way.
video, and text to speech. So you can have your whatever your summary or auto or show note that was written can get turned into like a spoken word thing. So
Okay.
now is like 5 different modalities. And last time we did a stream, we were just starting to get into some of that. We were going to look at the video and music stuff in the CLI, and we ended up having to drop early for some reason.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think I had a hard stop for a meeting that came up.
Yeah,
I think that was
meeting
it.
got pulled up randomly.
Yeah, I think it was a sales call or something.
Cool.
But yeah, I guess we're definitely going to talk about creating music today. I guess, I don't think it's a hot take necessarily, but people either vehemently hate AI generated music,
Mhm.
or I guess they're like, it's okay. And like, how are well, I'm sure we'll get into this, but like, how are you leveraging it? Because I use AI every day, and for writing and like for coding, obviously, and it's I don't know. I always treat these like tools, so it's like it's still me doing the blog post, but it's doing
Mhm.
tweaks, and it's like, keeping my style and tone from like previous stuff. So like I don't like that is AI helping me, but it's not AI doing it for me. You know what I mean? Like it was still my idea. And I'm
Mhm.
curious how you're treating music. Are you doing a mix of both? Are you just like, hey, let's just YOLO create like some weird symphony? Or are you like, and also for some context for people, you were a music teacher before, so you have a music background.
Mhm.
I can't remember, were you a cellist or
Upright bass, string bass.
upright bass? Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so like there is some context there too. So it's not like you're just some random guy who doesn't know anything about music creating AI music. So um, yeah, I guess I just curious about your thoughts about all that.
Yeah, for sure. So I first got interested in the idea of like AI music generation like a long, long time ago. I remember, oh man, it was probably 2018 or so. There were some like really early experiments coming out with like AI generated music, and this is like long before ChatGPT or anything like that
Yeah.
was around. And I remember I was talking to one of my music professors about it, who I had already graduated. One of my old professors, we were like good friends. We kind of hung out after I graduated. And he was very much of the mind that like AI can never write music and blah blah blah. And there was a song that was generated that was like a Beatles song. They basically took a bunch of Beatles songs in as like the training data, and then like wrote a new Beatles song. And I remember playing
Okay.
it for him. And for me, like I was just the fact that it was able to create a song at all that like sounded like a song was like kind of mind blowing for me at the time, because back then AI
Yeah.
couldn't do crap. And I remember playing it for Stuart. And I'm like, check it out. It sounds like a Beatles song, right? And I'll never forget his response. He's like, yeah, bad Beatles song. So that was then. Now things have kind of changed. So recently I've been really interested in Suno. Unfortunately, Suno does not have an API, so we can't really I
Okay.
can't integrate that in the way I would like to right now. But Suno definitely has like the best AI music model, and I've watched it progress now over the course of like 6 different model iterations. Because when I first used it, it was model V3. Since then, there's been 3.5, 4, 4.5, and now 5.
Okay.
And I feel like they reached an inflection point at 4.5 with the instrumentals and the music lines, actually, because I just noticed that it hit a point where there was no way, even for me, to tell the difference between the instrumentals on an AI song versus a real song. Like it sounds like a saxophone, sounds like a cello. There's literally
Yeah.
no way that you'd be able to tell the difference. The one thing that was still you can kind of tell is like the vocals would have kind of certain tells, especially if you listen to it. If you generated hundreds of Suno songs, you'd be able to tell a Suno song at a certain point. That is no longer
Okay.
the case with V5. I think the vocals, especially now, I would challenge any musician like to do a Pepsi challenge with a set of AI songs versus real songs and try and tell the difference. I think it would be extremely challenging unless you're someone who has like spent a lot of time with those models specifically, and you kind of know what the music sounds like that they generate. But
Okay.
it's really incredible. Whether you're actually going to want to listen to them is going to kind of depend on whether you find the right styles. Because if you just put in a song and say write a pop song, then it may be kind of like generic. But if you're like, oh, I want hip hop song with like jazz instrumentation and synthesizers or something like that, then it can do
Yeah.
that really well. So for me, I've been trying to figure out like what are the styles that I think actually output interesting stuff with Suno, and then the point with kind of AutoShow where that comes in is how you can generate the lyrics. So I
Okay.
think generating just lyrics straight up with AI is kind of like, writing short stories or poems or whatever with AI. Like it's pretty good, but it's, at the same time, it just feels like there's something kind of off about it. But what I found was interesting is that I could create interesting songs if I did the whole auto show approach where I would like feed it like an hour long podcast about a certain
Hmm.
topic. And then that transcript could be used to write the lyrics with like an LLM step in the middle. So basically, I would have auto show take in some content and then create the lyrics. And then those lyrics I would just put into Suno. I would just like copy paste it into their UI.
Okay.
Now, though, I've finally been able to integrate this into the CLI and the app because 11 Labs, 11 Labs probably, they first were kind of known for just text to speech stuff. They now have a transcription model and they have a music model. So they are kind of the first API, third-party API that I feel like gets pretty close to Suno. I also
Okay.
just integrated Minimax. You know anything about Minimax?
I heard about it. It's I can't. I follow Theo there, and I think he mentioned it, but I haven't used it. It's like, did they add image? No, he was talking about Kimi too. With they have good image generation now too, but he was mentioning Minimax too. But yeah. So
Yeah,
what's the deal with
Minimax.
Minimax?
They're an interesting company. I think they um so if especially if they have Kimmy, they probably host open source models as well. So they have kind of their own models, and they have open source models. They have a good range of all the different modalities. So you can generate image, music, video, all the stuff with them. And so I've been getting more interested in the services that kind of offer that whole gamut. Gemini and OpenAI are pretty much the only other ones that kind of offer that spread, although OpenAI doesn't have a way to generate music yet.
Okay.
So Minimax Music is another third party like music API model that you could use. So now I have 11 Labs and Minimax's music stuff built in, and it's kind of integrated with the whole workflow. So you can do it with the CLI, or you can do it with the UI, and we'll kind of go over that in a bit. And then a couple other just interesting stuff that I am working on is something that I really did not like was Suno's lyric video generation feature. So,
Okay.
they'll create a song, you can download that as an MP3 or a wave, or you could also download it as a lyric video. And that's where, you have the lyrics displayed and it kind of scrolls as it goes. So you can follow along with the song. But I
Okay.
just didn't like the design. I didn't like how the lines would be split up and stuff like that. So I ended up building my own kind of custom lyric video generator thing that basically takes in an image and lyrics and the song, and then it puts the image as the background and then displays the lyrics and kind of scrolls them through. So we'll look
Okay.
at that. And then the last cool thing that I'm working on now is, so I had this idea where you can put in podcast episodes or YouTube videos and generate a song off of it. But I'm like, you could actually really take this to the next level if you have a longer piece of content. So you could do this like a podcast series. If there's like 10 episodes, you could create a song for each one. But I was also thinking you could just take like an EPUB, any book, and then chop that up into 8 equal pieces, and then feed each of those to the lyric generator, the music generator, and then you could create whole concept albums based off of books. And so it's
Okay.
like you get like an instant Hamilton kind of thing. So that's now there's a
Okay. The
couple
future of
manual
musicals.
yeah, so there's a couple manual steps to doing that, but I have kind of the whole pipeline is basically there. You can take the EPUB, turn that to text files, and then those text files you can then use to generate the music. So yeah, so a lot of kind of stuff going on, but mostly I'm just finding all this stuff really fun and interesting, and it's stuff that I find at this point, everyone knows about ChatGPT, or at least most people do, even if they don't use it. So
Yeah.
that part of the app I find is like less impressive to people. But if you can just be like, it writes a whole song for you and creates a song, then people are like, whoa, that's super cool. So that still kind of has that like wow factor, because a lot of people aren't super hip to this like AI music generation stuff.
Yeah. Also, just want to say hey to Henri in the chat there on YouTube.
Yo, what up, buddy?
Henri Helvetica. He's wondering. He said, well, he's giving you a shout out, but also he's wondering, will you be playing the cello or your big bass?
Not today, no.
Yeah. So I guess like objectively, like, so this is more like just experimentation, I guess, because like you know what I mean. Like do you see people leveraging this to try and make hit songs, or is this really just trying to be creative in a different way? Do you think AI can enter mainstream like
Yeah, supposedly, there's already AI music artists that are like on Spotify and are getting like millions of plays and stuff. I'm sure there's also lots of just like playlists that have AI generated songs that people don't even really realize they're just putting on kind of background stuff. I'm
okay,
not really aiming it for people who are looking to be like serious musical artists. They would want to use the tools directly. They would want to use Suno directly. They would want to figure out all the different ways they can tweak it. And Suno now they have like a whole studio feature where you can create songs with stems and like break all up with the instrumentation and stuff like that. I'm aiming this more so at people who aren't musicians and who want to be able to just create stuff for fun, or people who are like content creators and want to do it for their own stuff. Like I know I think Latent Space did this for a while where they would create a song
Mhm.
for each episode, and then that would be kind of like
Yeah.
the lead-in song for the podcast. So stuff like
Okay.
that is kind of fun. I know some other podcasts that do that. So being able to kind of create more disposable, but still interesting or useful in whatever sense that the user finds it to be useful for. So is this going to be
Okay.
one more feature in AutoShow? It'll cost a certain amount of credits to generate, a certain length of song, and it'll just be another thing you can create based on your content.
Cool. Yeah, Henri's saying Zania Monet is an AI artist with songs on charts right now, which I find wild. But I guess like if you were a musician, like say you were a singer, like I remember reading like the Foo Fighters, like when Dave Grohl started,
Mm-hmm.
like he literally recorded all the instruments
Mm-hmm.
and then he did the vocals, but like then he pieced it all together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I guess nowadays, if you use something like Suno, like say you were the vocalist or the
Mm-hmm.
lead singer, well, the lead singer of a non-existent band, but like say
Mm-hmm.
you're like, I just need a band, you could like I guess kind of get an AI session players basically to do your actual things.
Yeah, I mean, so this is part of the Suno app, which I have not really done a lot with. So there is ways to kind of meld the human music making and the AI music making to kind of bring them together, and you can like flesh out song ideas. You could add extra instruments and stuff like that. That's super cool. I'm more interested in generating songs from scratch. And having it be end to end AI, so no music kind of input required. Because that's
Yeah.
just kind of the app right now. It's just focused at general consumers who want to be able to like input their content and get stuff generated. It's not aimed at musicians specifically. So that would be again something where I would say they want to use like the actual Suno app to do that. But this would be one way that they could create like ideas for lyrics or try out different styles based on similar lyrics. So it's more so aimed at kind of getting you over that hump of like, how do I just get a bunch of material that I can start working
Mhm.
with? So you could generate a whole bunch of different sets of lyrics based on a similar piece of content. So if you have, a podcast, you could create, a couple different versions of the lyrics with different styles and different models, and you can generate different versions of the songs with different services. So yeah, I
Okay.
think it's mostly just trying to expand the different things that you can do with AI and make it like really, really simple. Because I think at this point, for devs like you and I, there's all these different services and we're out using all this different stuff, and it's super cool. Most, I think, average consumers who are interacting with AI at all, they're still just kind of using like the Chat GPT,
Yeah.
chat UI, and then they'll generate images sometimes, but they're not doing a whole lot of this other stuff or creating like workflows where they're generating lyrics with an LLM and then creating music with a music kind of service. So I'm trying to kind of pull those together and provide good defaults and then kind of pre-built prompts and things so people can just start generating stuff, and they would have to be like, okay, how do I do this whole thing? They can kind of just like click through and then they get
Okay.
something, and they may not like it, but then they can kind of tweak it and they can try something else.
Okay. And yeah, I guess this could be interesting for like, like having an intro to like a live stream or a podcast, like you were
Mhm.
saying.
Yeah.
Um, I guess like in terms of cost, because like I know like when we've done the streams in the past, like Whisper is obviously you can just download it. For the music stuff, you definitely need API keys for certain things, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah. I tried out some of the open source music models, and it's kind of similar with the LLMs. There are ones that are okay, but you can't actually run them on your machine. Like the best local models are going to be these like huge things that take gigabytes of memory and storage. So they're kind of caught in that mid ground where it's like you can't really run them locally, and then if you do use them, they're not as good as the hosted ones. So
Yeah.
really, the best is going to be Suno, and then 11 Labs is pretty good as well. With Suno, you buy a subscription, and then they give you a certain amount of credits, and it's a really really good deal. You can generate like over 100 songs for like $10 or something totally ridiculous like that. With
Yeah.
the API for 11 Labs, I think it's 80 cents per minute of
Okay.
what you're generating. So it's not super cheap. You're gonna be paying like a couple dollars per song. So with that, you're gonna kind of want to experiment with like shorter songs first, and kind of dial those in. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
I just wish Suno had an API because their stuff is so good. So it's really frustrating. So kind of building in all these features, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like they're quite as good as it could be because I'm going with like one service versus another. But what are you gonna
Yeah.
do?
Well, maybe it's a business decision. You know what I mean? They really want people using the studio to build things versus like maybe they haven't thought of the programmatic use case of people wanting to build on their platform. I don't know. It's
Yeah, I'm sure they have a reason why they haven't done it. Yeah, it's definitely their service. It does a lot of stuff. They have a ton of features, and they're always expanding it out. So I can see why they would want to kind of keep people in their like walled garden.
mhm, yeah. So I don't know. You wanna show a bit of what you've been working on?
Yeah, so let me see.
If you want to just you should be able to share your screen and then I can just bring it on.
Yeah, let me figure out which stuff I'm even trying to show here.
Cool. All right, let me go ahead and copy that, and I'll just gonna need to resize it. Probably, we'll see. Hold on a sec here. Okay. Oh no, that looks. So yeah, I'm just gonna shrink it a bit. Hold on a sec. Da, 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 da. Okay, that should be good. And oh, and I'll get rid of. I added you twice in this scene by accident. All right, cool. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and switch it over. Cool. All right, so yeah, so I see show notes library.
Yeah, so this is AutoShow V2. So it has a slightly different look right now. So the biggest change I've made is that I originally with the last one wanted to have this whole background processing thing where basically after each step it would kick off whatever the processing you would need in the background, mostly so that you could get the transcription started while
Okay.
you're reading through all the other sections and picking your prompts and stuff like that. I decided to drop that just because it added like so much unnecessary complexity. And
Okay.
now there's just a form that you just go through and you pick a bunch of stuff. We'll go through this slowly, but I just want to kind of show the whole thing. And then you just kind of create the thing at the end, and it just hits an endpoint, sends your entire request, and then processes the whole thing on the back
Okay.
end. And it has like a job. So you can leave the page, it will keep running, and then kind of when it finishes, there'll eventually be like an email notification that you'll get. So that was kind of the big unlock, and that's allowed me to kind of build all these other features in way quicker and way more easily. The thing that is the same, so real quick, just for people who haven't seen AutoShow. So this is the one that's live right now. So it starts off the
Okay.
same. You can drop in a local file or you can enter a URL. They now accept PDF, docx, PowerPoint, stuff like that. So
Okay.
I'm gonna just do this is a thing I usually test with. It's like a 10-minute clip of me talking about Lambda School on a
Okay.
podcast. Transcription now is separated between cheap versions that just give you like the straight line of text with whisper, and then ones that give you speaker labels, so it breaks up the individual speakers. That
Okay.
can be really, really useful if are keeping the transcription afterwards. So, and there's a lot more options now as well. This is the one thing that I still have to add in. So there's like 60 prompts in AutoShow V1. I just have these ones right now, just as I've
Okay.
been testing it because it's a little simpler. Um, this is just for the text output, which we're not really going to be focusing on too much. So I'm just gonna have it create a one sentence summary.
Okay.
Now for models, you got OpenAI, Claude, Gemini, and I also add in Grok. They're okay. They're super duper fast though. So if you are generating something where the intelligence of the model is not as important, but you want to like churn through a ton of content, then they can be good for
Okay.
that. So all that is what was in AutoShow V1. Now this is the new. So you can generate text to speech. So if you have three options, OpenAI has a text to speech model. Grok also has a text to speech model, and then 11 Labs, which is definitely the best and most high quality one. And then each of these has a different set of voices you can kind of
Okay.
pick from. And then if you want, you can also
Yeah.
skip these. So what I'll eventually have is there'll be a kind of intermediary step after transcription where you'll decide whether you want text output, text to speech output, image output, music output, or video output. You'll kind of just check whichever ones you want instead of having
Yeah.
to like skip the ones that you don't want. So I'll be a little bit more explicit in terms of what you're wanting to generate.
Okay.
Um, then this is the image generation. So right now it's got ChatGPT image model and Gemini image model. You can select different dimensions and then a couple prompts. These prompts are not that good right now. I'm just
Okay.
was kind of focusing on just kind of getting the whole pipeline in, and then gonna start honing these prompts more. But for the stuff that these create are fairly generic, so that's one thing that I still got to work on.
Okay.
All right, now step 7, music. This is the what we've been really focusing on. So I built in Gemini Lyra, and then learned after the fact that it doesn't actually work with lyrics. It just generates instrumentals. So I'm probably gonna pull that out because it kind of
Oh,
defeats
okay.
the purpose if it doesn't actually create lyrics. So I'm gonna swap that with Minimax, and then those will be the two
Okay.
music
Well, there could
options.
be a big demand for elevator music, maybe.
Right, yeah. And then you have 6 different options for the genre. So it will create lyrics that are tailored to that style and then create the actual music with that style as well. So you can choose rap, rock, pop, country, folk, and jazz. Let's go with rock. And then video generation, Sora 2 from OpenAI, and then VO 3.1 from Gemini are the options. And these are the most expensive ones.
Okay.
Out of all the different options, then you can choose your video size and duration. So you have 4, 8, 12 seconds for Sora, and 4, 6, and 8 seconds for VO. So you see here, it kind of switches based on the model, giving you kind of whatever different inputs and options you have here. So these are the same thing with the image ones. These prompts are don't really create anything actually interesting right now. The
Okay.
video one is especially going to be challenging because taking a whole like hour-long podcast and turning it into like a 4-second clip, it's like, what are you really going to do with that? So this is one of the things I kind of
Yeah.
built, but I don't really know exactly what I'm going to be able to generate useful with it. But I just kind of want to get in there because I can start experimenting with stuff. So I think
Yeah.
that's
Totally.
everything.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So now you get this nice new progress bar where it kind of goes through each step one by one. And you see here also we have this job URL. So if you went back to the create page, it has this saved in your local storage. So it will make sure that you don't generate another one until this one finishes. I may at
Hmm.
some point have like a queue system. So after you generate this, you could go back and create another one while it's going. But
Okay. Yeah.
right now it just does one at a time. And if we look
Okay.
over here, we can see the logs going. So this was the processing options. It tells
You mind
you,
zooming it in like once or
yeah.
twice? Yeah. Okay, that's good.
So it tells you your
Okay.
transcription stuff you picked, your text to speech, music services, video services, and then it kind of walks you through each step as it's going. Tells you the prompts you selected. So here's let's see, music generation. So right now it's running that. So the music generation step also has an LLM built into it because it generates the lyrics as an intermediary step, and then it saves
Okay.
your lyrics to your show note so you can see it after the fact. So now it's actually generating the song with 11 labs. There is something called a composition plan with 11 labs that we'll get into more with the CLI, but that allows you to give it more information, and instead of just like a text file with lyrics, you can tell it which section is a verse, which section is a chorus, and you can
Okay.
have kind of text that will have different like vibes or feelings kind of for different sections. So that is pretty cool feature for 11 labs that definitely allows you to kind of hone in your songs a lot more than you would just kind of giving it the straight lyrics and then having it come up with the song. So now it's doing
Okay.
the generate video step. So using Sora. So I think there's also an intermediary step where it kind of creates the prompt that is given to
Okay.
the AI. And that's, yeah, I think that's a video scene description
Okay.
explainer probably.
I know you were mentioning about productizing this. Is this live on a site now, or are you just local for now still?
Yeah, so this is not live yet. It eventually will be. And it will be on auto.show. That'll be the URL. I got auto.show.
I didn't know there was a .show domain.
I know, right?
I guess
Okay,
at this point there's a domain for everything.
So
Invalid
I got
size.
bugging here for Sora. Let me
Oh, it doesn't support that file size.
it is not file size, but it was the dimensions. So some of the different models don't have all of the same dimensions. So it has 720 by 1280 and 1280 by 720, and
Okay.
not whichever one I picked. Let's see. It'll be in here. 1920 by 1080. So I need to update the front end UI to not expose that because it will break it apparently.
Ari said there's a .Nikki T domain. I'm impressed if that really is. I can't tell if he's joking or not. Domain Nikki
There's an
T.
online. You could do nikki.t.online.
Yeah, no, that I already have. That goes to my socials, and I use that for Blue Sky.
Nice.
But I guess like they can make. I don't know how it works with top level domains. There's obviously the country ones and like .com and .co, but I wonder how they decide to add new ones. Like show makes sense for TV, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah, it has
so
something to do with probably ICANN, and anyone can make one, but then you have to get like certified or something, I think.
okay,
But yeah, but
yeah,
I have AJC web.dev. I have that domain. So I like the when you can actually get the whole name if it happens to fit into a TLD. That's really nice. And I remember when I first created AutoShow, the auto.show domain was not available. And it was one of those
okay,
things where you could like make an offer, so I made an offer of like a couple $100 or something like that, and then never heard back. But
okay,
that was
okay,
like over a year ago. But I checked back just like a week ago, and it was available is definitely the most expensive domain I've ever bought. It's not that ridiculous, but it is a little ridiculous. But at this
Yeah,
point, I'm pretty baked into the auto show name, so I think it was worth it.
yeah. I never paid a lot for a domain, but I actually sold a domain. I was never
Mhm.
into like domain squatting or stuff, but
Sure.
uh Ari will probably like this, but I had a it's like late 90s or early 2000, I think it was early 2000s. I was like HTML5 was like the new thing,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
so I tried to register html5.com, but it was taken. So I was like, I'll register html5.ca, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna blog about HTML5 stuff. I never did, but then like somebody, I don't know if it redirects to it now, but like it might just go nowhere now. But
Yeah.
uh, basically, somebody dropped me a message like, oh, we'd like to buy your domain. I like
Mhm.
ignored it because I just thought it was like spam or something, because I've never sold a domain. I
Sure.
ignored the messages for like 4 times, and then like he kept upping the price, and
Mhm.
then and like for context, I paid $10 for it, and then he's
Uh-huh.
like, I'll give you 4 grand for it,
Nice.
and so then I was like, okay, and then I had to read up on how to do this properly without getting screwed. At the time, I used something called escrow.com. It seemed to be the
Mhm.
popular way to do this. It's not just
Right.
for
Yeah.
domains. I think it's any kind of thing where it's like, you know what I mean? You have to switch
Be
at
a
the
third
same time.
party. Yeah.
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 So I sold it and then got my 4 grand. So pretty good profit. And then I learned out later, because like I was just curious, like what's the website go to now? And it went to the Internet Explorer download page. So Microsoft had bought it. Had
That's
I
really
had I
funny.
known, I could have like maybe asked for more, but honestly, it's still
Right.
pretty good considering I paid $10 for it.
That's
Um,
awesome. So,
Highlight guy 463 on YouTube saying, "Hey, there is Sona AI or something, right, to make songs." Yeah, we were talking about Sona.com before. Um,
yeah, Suno.
yeah, exactly, Henri. Yeah, no way. Yeah, it just goes to nowhere now. But I remember it went to the IE9 download page for the longest time. So, anyways, and that's how I bought my first Mac. I bought a 2010 MacBook Pro. So it was around. So sorry, it was around 2010 then. So I was like, I'm gonna buy a MacBook. I'd always had. I don't know about you, but I up until 2010, I always had bought, aside from the first computer I ever bought, a 486, which cost me like 3,600 Canadian at the time, which was bonkers.
Whoa.
But after that, like while I was in school, I always bought used like uh, laptops or desktop PCs just off of like
Mhm.
the classifieds, and then when I finally got that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna build iOS apps, and then I bought that. I bought my wife a mini what was it? Not the iPlayer, but it was like it was one of
Zune.
the no, it was still Apple, but it was like it's kind of like what the iTunes or what the heck was it called before?
iPod.
It was like before they had the phone, or just I think the phone had already come out. Yeah, because the phone was 2008, but they basically had a music player that looked
You
like
talking
the
about the
phone, but it
iPod?
yeah, sorry. I don't know why I can't. I don't
The
know why I
most
was drawing a
important
blank on the.
device of our entire lifetime, the
Yeah, yeah,
iPod.
yeah. So I got her the iPod, the newer one. It's not the one that like with the spinning thing. It was
Yeah,
like the one that looked like a mini phone. And I got like the iPod Nano, which was like I could use it like a watch and stuff.
dude, I
So that
loved the
was
iPod. I was all about the iPod as a kid.
yeah. So that's how I got into Mac, and then I had that Mac forever until like I think like 2018. Like my wife used it for the longest time because it got too slow for web development at one point.
You buy a
And like
Mac Mini?
no, I didn't buy anything else. I eventually got a I
No, I'm talking about right now because of Claude Bot.
Oh, no, no, no. Well, one, you don't need that, but I have a mini PC right now because of work
Uh-huh.
for like testing out Pomerium. So I just added ClaudeBot on there.
Okay.
So
Actually, I
yeah,
got a
actually,
mini Linux box for the first time. I haven't set it up yet, but I might throw Claude on that as well.
yeah, no, that's what I have. It's like my coworker recommended. It's called Minis Forum, the brand, and I can share the model I got, but it's got like 32 gigs of RAM, half a terabyte of drive, and yeah, Moltbot now. Yeah, exactly, Henri. Yeah, the I think Claude sent him a cease and desist or something.
Yeah,
Um,
stupid.
but yeah, it's kind of cool. I was like, I set up ClaudeBot, and I was like for context, for people who don't know, I work at a place called Pomerium, so we're like good at securing internal apps. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna secure ClaudeBot, like because there's the bot you create. Like I have one in Telegram, but there's like the website for it, like kind of like the admin panel. And I went to go secure that with Pomerium, and then I ran into some issues with WebSocket, so I opened up an issue. So I have a PR I'm working on for it.
What are you using it? What are you using ClaudeBot for? Like your use case?
Uh, I literally just started using it Friday. I was
Okay.
like, just because I kept reading about it, I was like, yeah, I'll try it out. And then, so the first thing I did was like, after Peter, the creator and maintainer, he's like, yeah, I'd love a pull request. I basically just started working on it, and I got ClaudeBot. I just did some planning with ClaudeBot, and uh, it basically helped me draft a PR, and I still have to review it and stuff. Um, but it's a bit of a side note, but like that's kind of the way things are going, you know. Like I don't know how much. Well, you've been working with AI, obviously, but um, it,
Do
times are
I run
changing.
Ralph with the ClaudeBot?
Yeah, you could maybe.
I'm
I
just
have,
joking because that's like the two big hyped AI things over the last month has been Ralph and ClaudeBots. All people talk about, and they're
yeah,
not really
I
they're not
haven't
really
ran the
related at all.
I haven't ran the Ralph loop myself yet, but it makes sense. But it can be like super expensive because it's not necessarily efficient. It's just kind of like
It's
slow. It's
autonomous.
probably
It
more
just
steps than you need to,
right, yeah.
but still interesting. I mean, I know we're getting off topic here a
I
bit,
mean, I
but
gotta do
it's
something
like,
with at least $500 worth of tokens I've got between all my different subscriptions. At this point, I'm on
what?
ChatGPT Pro and Claude Max and Open Code Zen or Open Code Black.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I've used Open Code as well. I don't have their Black. I had connected the Claude subscription, and then obviously that got axed from Claude. So I'll probably connect. I think I had my GitHub Copilot, or no, they recently added GitHub Copilot.
Yeah, you can add your
So
Copilot keys to it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So they do similar, like Goose does this too, where you can from the people at Block, you can have like multiple subscriptions and stuff. But it's like I think now is the time to experiment because there's gonna be a rude awakening when the real prices like show up. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, we'll see.
yeah.
Okay,
Anyways,
so I
yeah.
have
So where are we at?
audio enabled for this so people can hear.
Okay.
So hopefully this won't be too loud.
Okay. Okay. I can hear it, so I'm assuming the crowd can. Uh, if the crowd can let me know if you heard that.
Yeah,
Um,
I would assume so if you
yeah,
could hear it.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Cool.
this will just so the text to speech part, it just takes whatever your text output for step 4, step 3 and 4 was, and it will then create an audio for you. So
Yeah.
that's cool, nice for accessibility and stuff like that. Then you've got here this image. So as I said, the prompts for the images are not really that amazing. So this image,
Yeah.
it's kind of whatever, but it kind of gives you the idea. You can create like cover images and stuff like that. So these
Okay.
will be refined and have some more interesting stuff to pick from.
Yeah.
We probably won't listen to this whole 3-minute song, but let's see how this sounds.
So this is a song about GraphQL.
About my time in Lambda school and Redwood and GraphQL and stuff.
Okay. Okay. Nobody can hear it. Let me see if. I wonder why they can't hear it. It should audio settings. Let me check here.
I'll keep it going while you're messing with it.
It sounds like Sum 41.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I'm just checking in local file. Control audio via OBS. There we go. Okay, play it again. I can't hear it now, but I think the crowd will be able to. You hear it now, Henri? Nights in a ballroom room, keys like thunder. Let me see. Oh yeah, I gotta do. Oh, guest sharing. Oh, I see it playing here, but let me go to advanced settings. This is the first time. Okay, it's working now. Okay, so you can hear it. Yeah, I'll put the monitor on so I can hear it. I just gotta just for me so I can hear it. Advanced settings, guest sharing screen, monitor and output. There we go. Okay, I hear it now too. All right. Cool. Express veins in a Postgres core. Data rivers twisted and wide. Yeah. It obviously sounds funny because it's talking about tech, but carved in steel and stone said stop alone, come build your home. Raise it up. Yeah. It sounds like 2000 to 2010 like alternative rock, like a bit of POD in there maybe, you know.
Yeah, and
So
I would say this is more comparable to like Suno V4, where it's pretty decent, but at the same time there's like, you know, a kind of genericness to the songwriting and also the vocals. They sound human, but they're also not that expressive. So I'll be interested to see kind of as 11 Labs continues to improve their models. I have to imagine they'll eventually hit a similar inflection point to where Suno did, and they may just you know a couple months behind or something like that. But yeah, that kind of gives you an idea of what it can do.
Yeah, so I can see I can see this being fun, just from a creative standpoint, you know, just having fun, you know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's really cool, and especially with the stuff where you can throw in like a book and kind of turn that into songs. I find that that's good. I've been doing that just like for books that I've been reading, because it kind of helps with like retention of information. Like you hear a song about something from the book, and you'd be like, oh yeah, that did happen, So yeah, I think there's a lot of kind of interesting things that you could do with it.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions based on that?
Well, I guess the one thing is, I mean, I know you did a lot of, like, you obviously used AI to help you generate a lot of the code. Have you been revamping that now? You were talking about this at the beginning, like, or are you just kind of in YOLO mode still, and it's like, litmus test is it's just working, so good enough to ship?
Yeah, so I think at this point I've kind of gone through the whole gamut of like vibe coding an app, seeing the kind of, drawbacks to that. And now as I'm working on the V2 of AutoShow, I'm trying to mitigate some of those issues. I think the most important thing, and Dax I think has a really good perspective on this, how when AI writes your code, it's basically kind of brute forcing the feature usually, to the sense that it's going to get it to work, but it's not going to do it in a way where the code is clean or that it follows the conventions of the rest of your project or that it's maintainable or anything like that. So I find that there's kind of two ways you can approach this. You can have a clear idea of how you want your code to be structured ahead of time, This is especially easier for senior devs who would just, have coded this stuff out all themselves anyway. They can come up with like a little architecture diagram and data flow and types and schemas and all that stuff. Um,
Yeah.
if you're just kind of vibe coding it, though, you can basically set kind of checkpoints along the way so that once you kind of generate a bunch of features, you then go back and use AI to basically clean the code up. So I have
Mhm.
a couple different prompts now where I'll have it like look for unused variables or unused CSS classes or stuff like that. So it generates a whole bunch of code and then we'll rewrite code and then like leave old dead code around. So things like cleaning
Yeah.
that up or like checking for conventions around how the types are written or things like that. So and this is a lot of stuff actually that I feel like I really got a good handle on from the stuff I'm teaching with the workshops that I've been doing, because those are all kind of, like I said, based around code maintenance and
Mhm.
looking for overly complex code, heavily repetitive code, stuff like that. So I would say for people who are vibe coding apps, you want to vibe or refactor your vibe coded apps in some sort of cadence. And then you have, then on top of it you have your normal software practices of you need tests and you need good observability and logging and metrics and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
taking my time with this now because I'm not trying to launch this to make a whole bunch of money or anything. So I've got a much better test suite hooked up for V2 now. I feel that the code itself is a lot cleaner, a lot more maintainable.
Mhm.
And this will eventually be, I'll add in the, user login, registration, and credits and stuff like that. But for people who do want to use this entire thing right now is in the open source repo
Yeah.
at the AutoShow slash AutoShow. So this is pretty much up to date with the current Bun app that you're seeing right now. So everything you're seeing here, everyone can use, and then eventually this will actually be like hosted on Auto.show. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
probably where I'm at right now in terms of the app, and then the original Auto Show, which just does the text generation based on the prompts, that's still up. People can use that if they want.
Yeah. And it's like sometimes it's fine to also just, do something, vibe it, just to see, like, don't care about quality so much. Just like you just really want to see, is this possible? And then you can totally scrap it, because it's like so quick to do these things now. Like, and then you can like be more serious and intentional about like reviewing it and stuff. I'm always amazed at how fast I can move now. I mean, I kind of hate writing code by hand now to some degree. It doesn't mean I don't look at it, but it's like I know how to write React components. I really just don't want to do it anymore, you know? And it's more like I want my ideas and stuff, or like for example, at work we had an app that was on Create React app. It's like, so 2 years, this has been
Old school.
deprecated. We had all these dependency updates we had to do. And I was like, I started fixing a couple dependency updates, and I'm like, I just realized it's just gonna be a nightmare. So like I literally spent, I think I did a plan with Claude Code. I just said like, want to migrate to Vite, and just get rid of Create React app. And I gave a little more details, but basically he said, help me create a plan. It executed it like 20 minutes later, it had ported it. I spent maybe another hour. Well, I reviewed it obviously, but then, I might have spent another hour. Just there was a couple things it missed or whatever. There was a duplicate React version getting loaded. So like I had to add a dedupe to like the Vite config and stuff. But like basically I saved a crap ton of time. Like I know I'm saying the obvious because people do this all the time now, but it's like
Mhm.
it's like I could obviously port it from Create React App to Vite, but I feel like that probably would have been like at least a few days, and maybe not a week. I'd say maybe a few days, and it's like,
Mhm.
and I don't know about you, but like I think about like I'm still new to Kubernetes, and I gave a talk about
Mhm.
Kubernetes with zero trust because of Pomerium, and I had to
Mhm.
get a cluster up and running on my mini PC.
Uh-huh.
And at first, I was like, because we can use AI at work. They're just like they encourage us to use it, and I think I blew $300 US in a day, like just getting my cluster set up.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, which sounds wild, but at the same time, I didn't have to interrupt anybody at work. So anybody salaried, their time wasn't affected or pulled away.
Mhm.
So that $300 was probably way cheaper than like me pulling in two, maybe three people that I had questions for. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's interesting times. So
Yeah, I mean, I've been vibe coding stuff for at this point, like going on almost 2 years. So it's been fun for me kind of seeing this slow march of, first devs weren't that into it. Then you had some who were kind of more into it. And then now, I feel like, I mean, I guess it's hard to say because, Twitter's always going to be kind of its own bubble. I'll be
yeah,
curious, to what extent just average everyday, enterprise developers who aren't online, how much they're using AI versus not AI. Because to me, it feels like at this point, everyone's coding with AI. Obviously, it's not 100%,
yeah,
but yeah, be curious. I'm sure there's different metrics and studies that are being done on this. But I think
yeah,
Harpathy just tweeted like in the last day or two, basically saying how he went from like 20% vibe coded to 80% and with 80% handwritten code to flip flopping that 80% vibe code to
yeah,
20% handwritten code. And he said that just happened with like the last couple of weeks for him. And it feels like a
yeah.
lot of people with like Opus 4.5 and then trying out things like Claude Code or open code.
Hmm.
People are finding that the models have gotten a lot better, and then the harnesses around them have gotten a lot better. Like I kind of shied away from Claude Code for a while. I made that classic mistake where I tried it out when it was brand new, and I'm like, this is kind
Okay.
of slow and crappy, and then didn't try it for a while, and obviously it's gotten way better. So now I'm on the open code train for sure because it's basically like Claude Code but multi-model. So yeah, because Copilot in VS Code is still kind of slow and crappy. That's kind of what I teach for the workshops that I do. But at this point, like open code is so much faster and so much nicer. Um, I haven't tried Cursor in over a year. I know Cursor now has a super fast model, so they could
Hmm.
probably do better in terms of that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely the time to be coding with AI.
Yeah, I've found I'm less and less in an IDE,
Mhm.
um, and also the GitHub Copilot CLI. It was in preview before. I think it's out of preview now. Um, I got to take it for a spin again, but I got to I got to get a pre trial of it when it was like through the GitHub stars, but yeah, I forget what the announcement said because like a bunch of the stars have been posting stuff. I was just like sick as a dog. I'm like, there's no way I can like try and build something this weekend. My guts are dying. But but yeah, it's supposed to be pretty solid. I know Cassidy Williams and Jason Langsdorf are doing a stream. I think maybe in an hour. I'm not sure. I think it's today. But I don't know. I find it seems kind of weird, but like I'm a big fan of VS Code, but I'm less and less in the editor. Like I actually, it was kind of neat initially when you saw the code completion. It's like
Yeah.
you type something and it goes da 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 da, and I'm like, and then sometimes it was annoying, obviously, but I just find I'm more and more in CLIs for this stuff, and like
Mhm.
I got to give the Copilot CLI another go now that it's like officially out. But um, I don't know. And it ties into it's really more like I don't really need to see the code changing. Like there's no. It looked cool when it did that initially, but now it's
Mhm.
like I would rather see a diff or like my litmus test is like, okay, here's my plan, do the thing. Is it doing what I actually said it to do? And then like if it's actually working, then at that point, that's when I like start looking at the code to review it,
Yeah,
and
once the
then there's
test
like,
pass, yeah.
yeah, and it's also good at writing tests too and stuff like
Mhm.
so I don't know. It's just it's been pretty wild how things are changing. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, and it's like I don't know. Nicholas Zakas, who's like the creator of ESLint, he had a great blog post he put out. I think it was January 20th. He's talking about like, and it makes sense here. We went from devs to like conductor to now we're going to be kind of orchestrators of these things, and it makes sense, right? Like, because
Mhm.
like I remember when Copilot came out or ChatGPT, you're just talking in one instance, but now it's like I'll have multiple instances of Claude going, do this, and then like while it's still doing that thing, and like it spins off in work trees, it'll do sub agents whatever, but then I have another one open saying like do this other thing, and it's like I don't know, it's just wild times, and it's yeah, just I don't know. I feel like even in like 3 months, it's gonna be different again, and it's like I, I guess the only downside like is like it's not so much the FOMO, but it's kind of exhausting sometimes to just be like,
Yeah, it's like
okay,
JS
another
fatigue, but now
yeah,
with AI.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, another model came out. Somebody dropped 20 more skills, or like, and it's
Mhm.
just like, okay, okay, okay. It's like obviously you can't consume it all, but like it does feel like the JS fatigue a bit, like it's a lot of exciting stuff, but it's just
Mhm.
like just can't just can't do it all right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's one of the reasons why I've been glad to have AutoShow because kind of as new stuff comes out, I'll like build it into the app and try it out and try out new services and new models. So I feel like I've gotten it's been a good kind of playground for trying out all this stuff. And once you kind of get a handle on the main models, the same with like frameworks, like once you understand, React, Vue, and Svelte, when a new one comes out, it doesn't take you that long to kind of understand it and get spun up with it. Stuff like Claudebot and Ralph are a little different, and those are interesting. So there's definitely like higher level AI tools that are still pretty confusing, but in terms of just like the models and what they can offer, they're mostly just API endpoints that return text. Honestly.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Okay, so
anyways, man,
let's get to the lyric video stuff.
cool.
So let's switch to go back to entire screen. Looks like I can share by system audio. That's the thing. Okay. So let's take a look. So we want this guy. Okay. So I'm not going to go super duper deep into how this works. I did have it write a tutorial that I might have published at some point, but uh, the kind of main things that are happening here is that it is designed so that it can kind of figure out where the lyrics in the song are by using whisper. It's not perfect. There'll be sometimes where if like the song starts with the singer, making some kind of like vocal take, like something like that, it may like confuse
Yeah,
it and
yeah,
it will start in the wrong place. So for the most part, it kind of works out of the box. I'm eventually gonna include the ability to use like LRC and VTT files, which are subtitled kind of files to give the exact timestamps. But basically, what it's going to do is it's going to take and let me actually do this. This is give me the high level explanation. Okay, so it runs Whisper to transcribe it and figure out the word level timestamps. It then compares that against the lyric file that you give it. So you'll have a lyric file like this, and then you'll have a cover image like this, and then an audio file like that. And then it will create a video where the lyrics kind of scroll in time with the song, and then it's all built into the CLI. Right now, this is just a free floating repo. This will eventually get upstreamed into the AutoShow CLI. So let me just run this so people can see what's going to happen. So let's go here. So it's looking at your Whisper model, language, resolution, font, all that stuff.
Okay.
Then it finds the lyrics and tokens and kind of compares them, figures out the alignment. So this is where the alignment stuff is where things can get kind of hairy if it doesn't just kind of work out of the box. Mm-hmm. But basically it just looks at the Whisper transcript and the lyrics transcript and kind of compares them to try and figure out where the timestamps match up with the lyrics that are written, because the lyrics that come out from transcription will be slightly misspelled or, malformed. Also, did you know there is a .ass file format?
I did not know there was ass. No.
Yeah, it has something to do with this process that I do not understand. So,
okay.
Okay, here we go. Let's see if this works.
This is a song that is used as an example for the repo that needs an example. This example will be used as the example, and it is very short. This is the whole song. This is the whole song.
Yeah, so that's just to test it out. So as you see, it has the background, it has a song title at top. It has one lyric line per line. You always have the next one in front and the previous one behind it. So this to me is just like so much better than what you're getting from Suno. It's much easier to follow along with. It looks aesthetically more pleasing. So this is something I just kind of like vibe coded in a day, just for fun. And there's a ton of code here, so I'm going to probably do the whole refactor cleanup on this and then kind of upstream it into the AutoShow CLI. So
the song had a good hook to it.
Right. So now in the AutoShow CLI, it can basically do the same thing that we saw the front end do. So so this is, I ran this before the stream, so we can just kind of look at this. So the command was this guy right here. So you pass in whatever your base file is, LLM you want, and then you can do --minimax or --11 labs. And then you can pass it different genres. And then you can also add extra text to describe the music style. So you don't just want pop, you want 80s synth influenced pop. And then it will generate the lyrics, feed it to the model, and then output it as a file here. So this is from Minimax. Let's see how this one sounds.
Your call is important to us. Please stay on the line. All our representatives are currently busy. We'd like to receive a call back.
Streetlights flicker on our faces, counting wishes, counting graces. Another year of broken places.
Still so this could be like
paper plans and midnight pages. Turn the locks on all the cages. Hope is humming through the stages. just hear the
Could be from like a mediocre Disney movie.
yeah. Again we begin. Open the door and let the light in. Round and around we've been, but tonight we're fine.
But it's like pretty decent.
Hands in the air.
Yeah, I mean that could be a popular song. You know?
Yeah, like it's got a nice hook to it, you know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so that was by generated the lyrics from the audio file. You can also just create a song from a base prompt. So if we go to the music command, let's do it with, let's do this one. So this is going to just take a prompt, and the prompt is an upbeat electronic dance track, and it's going to generate that with 11 labs. So this will not use the whole pipeline. It will just kind of use the music service directly. The CLI is kind of set up this way where I first built the main workflow, which is the text command. And then I kind of added on a bunch of more commands like music and image and video. And then in the UI, I kind of pulled them all together to where you could generate those assets based on the initial transcript. And then the CLI right now, I kind of have to still build in a lot of that scaffolding to connect like the image and the video commands and stuff to the initial text command. But here we go.
Gotcha. That's it. Up in the club.
With that John Hamm gif.
Yeah, that's actually a good beat. Yeah, like this I can't tell it's AI.
Right? Yeah. Especially it's electronic music, you know. The drop. Oh.
Yeah, like this is clearly based off of existing stuff, and then boom. No, this is definitely good electronic.
Yeah, that slapped. Actually, that was pretty great.
That is pretty solid.
Yeah, so that was 11 labs. So yeah, so you know, I'm still kind of finding what are the styles that kind of work best with different models and stuff, but that was pretty tight. So yeah, so that's the music functionality. Very last thing I want to show, and then we can start wrapping it up.
Yeah.
So now the thing I was talking about, creating like a full concept album. So I have these now, this EPUB command, and then let me run it on this guy. And you can split it up into, you know, however many parts you want. So let's do split 5. So I'll turn it into 5 text files.
Okay.
It goes super duper fast. So you see here, 5 files created, 22,000 words, 0.1 second.
And I'm assuming this works only with EPUBs that are DRM free.
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure it'll work on any EPUB.
Okay.
Because it's using an open source EPUB library, and it is basically just extracting it out as like HTML and then stripping out the HTML. I think it's how it's working. So
I didn't mean in terms of pirating. I was just curious. I'm not sure how, because like I know like on like my Kobo, when I'm reading stuff, like I can put on, like I put on PDFs and stuff through Instapaper, but I buy books too from Kobo. But I also have like existing EPUB books I bought that aren't, there's no DRM on it. Like I bought it off of like, what the heck's that site called? Anyways, But all I mean is like I thought with DRM it's like you can't even get in, but I guess with the open source project maybe it somehow is able to read it still.
Yeah, I'm not sure. What I do, there's a site called Anna's Archive, which is like the Pirate Bay for books, essentially. So you can download.
Not condoning that. Not condoning that.
Yeah. And they're always kind of getting shut down also, but they have a whole bunch of different domains out there, so you can still find it. But yeah, so I'm not sure if DRM will influence it at all. I don't think so. But if you actually bought it like through the Amazon bookstore, that might be a different case. But we see here now we have these 5 text files. This is a book, Some, that I really, really love. It's 40 short stories, each with a different kind of vision of what the afterlife could be like. Super, super interesting book. But anyway, it basically, since I did split 5, it just takes the whole book and then breaks it up into 5 pieces. So then the additional scaffolding then would be another command I would need that would basically take each of these individual files and then runs them through the pipeline, which I just demonstrated, where it takes a text file, creates the lyrics with an LLM, then feeds those lyrics to 11 Labs or Mini Max. So eventually this will all kind of be wired together and then included in the AutoShow app. So people can kind of generate multiple songs that are kind of a similar concept or style. And then you won't just be generating songs, you'll be generating like entire albums, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. No, it's pretty cool. There's like a lot of... You stopped sharing your screen. Let me go back to over here. Sorry. I was too into the conversation. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. All the stuff you put together there. It's oh yeah. Ari was saying Anna's archive was shut down. Actually, there's
the .org domain was shut down. You can still get a .pm or .li and some other ones too.
Well, whatever. I don't condone it. So yeah, you live your life.
Yeah, and there's actually this interesting tangent here, which is that the reason why it got shut down, the .org, and why they're going after it now specifically, is because they scraped, I think, the entirety of Spotify and then uploaded all. So they have traditionally been books and scientific publications and things like that. But now I think they also, I'm not sure if you can actually download music through Anna's archive or if it's just available in like their torrent, because you can download the sum total of Anna's archive and like mirror it. So that's why it's kind of decentralized and it's all over the place. But that's going to make a very, very big difference for the open source AI models if they have that data set to train on now. So I did see some open source model drop that people are like, oh, it's like open source Suno model. I haven't actually tried it yet. I was going to look at it before the stream, but didn't get around to it. So hopefully the open source music models will be getting better soon. But right now, the proprietary ones have gotten to be pretty dang good. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Cool. All right. Well, it's been fun, man. And remember, kids, don't pirate. Napster was fun while it lasted.
You wouldn't download a car.
Yeah. You sound like the guy, the movie guy, in a world where... Anyways. Thanks for hanging, man. Always good, man. And yeah, keep me posted with the updates. And always great hanging. And everybody else, thanks for hanging today. And Anthony, if you don't mind just staying on for a sec.
Yeah.
And
thanks, everyone. Hey,
else.
Henri, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining.
Later.